just excited to get back on the court really and play. We've had a long week of other things in life besides basketball, and we've had a couple really good days here of practice, going against a much improved Kansas State team. Trying to keep my game straight. We had TCU on Wednesday, that was canceled. Now we've got Kansas State today. But Jeff's done a great job with his group. They're much improved, playing a lot better here lately. They've lost some really close games and played well, scoring a lot of points. The first time we played them, we were able to force some turnovers, and thank goodness, because it was really hard to score against that zone that they run. So, we're going to have to play really well. We'll have to shoot it well, which obviously has been a problem for us all year. And we're going to have to deal with a really great player inside in Lee. She's just so good, big physical kid. And, when you got a big kid like that, that'll not only be an offensive player, but it'll take a charge. You got somebody really special. And, we'll have our hands full there. We're going to have to guard some guards off the bounce. They are really good doing that. Some 3-point shooters. So, they beat Kansas, a week ago pretty handily at home, and are playing a lot better. So a lot of respect for Jeff and that program. And again, we're going to have to play. We'll have to play well. Again, our kids, just like everybody, have dealt with a lot this week, and I'm anxious to see us play as always.
Jonathan, start us off.
Coach, just with everything going on this week, where do you feel like your players are mentally, and do you think that they have the right mentality to play this game?
Yeah, I think, they're excited to, be back on the floor. We had a real trying day. Obviously, we didn't, we played really hard defensively last Sunday, but we couldn't score. Got a lot of really good looks and just couldn't get the ball to go in. And then had a real trying day Monday traveling. It took us probably 3 hours to cover 90 miles on some really treacherous roads. Really want to praise our bus drivers that got us home. And thank goodness we got home. There was some talk about not letting us come home and going on to TCU, which would have really been a nightmare. So glad we got home. And then, of course, then we had to deal with what was going on here. And so you go from the middle of conference season to, hey, y'all good? You got food? We have 4 kids living off campus. If you got food, if you got water, if you got power, my kids were lucky in that they never lost power and they never lost their water. Obviously they had to go to, everybody's had to go to the boil ban, the boil water, but my kids, unlike myself, and my staff, they always had power and had water. And so that was a blessing. And so, I think I think they're glad to be back on the court, and, we're all excited to play tomorrow.
John High, go ahead.
Coach, you talk about them being some of the fortunate ones that had food and water, but what do you tell them going into a game like this when, whether they had family they had to worry about or anything? How do you get your mind back on basketball right now?
Well, I mean, like I said, for about 3 or 4 days there, we certainly weren't thinking basketball. And, but I think these kids are resilient. I think that's the beauty of being young. You're resilient, you bounce back from things. And I think there's a little bit of a pride factor too with some of our players. They're anxious to get back and, fix what we didn't do well last weekend. So I know I am, and my staff is. So, you got to flush that one, and you got to get ready for a new one. And, again, it's good to be back on the floor. It's good to see them. And be back in the environment that I think we're all wanting to be in.
Andrea, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Sorry I don't have any video right now. Can you just talk about your personal experience the last few days at home? You mentioned that you didn't have power, I think, but what are some of the? Can you give us kind of a picture of what you personally went through at your house?
Well, at my house, we lost power Sunday morning at 2 a.m. So Holly stayed back. She didn't go to the game because she couldn't get out of the driveway Saturday to test. And good thing she stayed home because we've got, you know, our two big dogs, a black lab and a golden retriever. And, you know, she stayed home Saturday night. Sunday morning at 2 a.m., the power went off. And she made it through the day, and through the night. I got home Monday afternoon around 5 o'clock, and we made the decision to go to a hotel. And so we went to a hotel, me and her and Blair. Logan had power, didn't have water. And so we went to a hotel, stayed Monday night, Tuesday night at the hotel. Wednesday, we came up here and stayed. We stayed at the office, still no power, no water. And so we stayed up here in the office, all three of us. And Thursday, Blair got power back and water. So she went back to her place. Holly and I went to a hotel, and our room was extremely cold. I slept in a warm-up suit with blankets on top of my bed. Other blankets besides the blanket that was on the bed. And so we stayed there Thursday night. And then sometime in the middle of the night, Thursday night, she got a notice on her phone, because we can control the climate, that our heat was back on. The house was at 50 degrees, I think, and inside. And so we went home Friday morning and assessed our house. Had to throw out everything in the refrigerator, everything in the freezer. And then I have another freezer that's full of the fresh fish that I catch every year. And that fish had stayed solid for 4 days. And so I brought it up here to school Thursday. But Friday, we finally got power back on. And so yesterday, she spent a lot of time assessing that. I was up here, obviously, with our team and our kids. And then last night, I couldn't go home. She said, "Hey, we got peanut butter and jelly, and we got all the chips you want. You know, that's what I'm going to eat for dinner." And, I only eat one meal a day, Andrea. So I had to have something else. So I stopped at Papa John's, where the line was off the chart. But I had film to watch. So I went inside, waited my turn, ordered my pizza. Well, they only had thin crust pizza, no original or any other crust. So I ordered my thin crust meat lovers pizza. But I went out and sat in the car, told them I'll be out in the car watching film. I watched film in the car, walked back in, got my pizza. And when I went back in, there was nobody left because they were out of food. And the U-Haul had just pulled up from Killeen from another Papa John's, and they were bringing them new dough, as in pizza dough, not money. So, and I don't know if they were going to open back up or if that was just dough and they didn't have any of the ingredients. So it was nice to be back in our bed last night. But, my pool's frozen. We've got a couple other little things that we're concerned about, but overall, I mean, we're good. During that time, to be honest, I was more concerned about Charlie, Lauren, and Kyra, because they live the furthest from here. And I was more concerned about their travel. Kids are antsy. They get, they can't stand staying inside. And so they would come up every day to the tank to get their 2 meals. And I was more concerned about them traveling than anything. Even my kids walking across the street from Sanjak dorm, it was so treacherous with the ice that was all over the ground. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, crazy.
John High, back over to you.
Coach, real quick, when were y'all able to practice? And then secondly, do you use this kind of as a teaching moment? I know coaches always talk about their players overcoming adversity. Not that you want to use something like this, but is it something you can use?
Absolutely. I mean, this is real world. This is life. Hey, it's how you respond. That's what it's all about in my mind. How are we going to respond? We got all the built-in excuses that we can possibly need. You go play bad tomorrow, oh, it's this, you can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. But you know what? We're going to find out what we're made of. This will be a great opportunity for us to respond. We didn't practice a full practice till yesterday, to answer your question. We had a little bit of about an hour together on Thursday, but that didn't do anything but allow us to get up and down a little bit and open up our lungs, and it wasn't good. Our lungs weren't very open after, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So again, just, it's a great opportunity. And again, it's all about how you respond.
Emily?
Hey, Coach. I believe it was Charlie. She handed out, was it about 60 pizzas to people? Do you mind just talking about how proud you are of her? Because, for a professional athlete, that's one thing, but for a college athlete to really go out of her way and do that, especially like you said, when they were struggling themselves to even get to you guys. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
And I can't tell you how proud I am of her and her thinking of others. We talk about being a servant leader all the time, and the great leaders of the world, the great leaders in any athletic team, when you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the ground, what are you thinking of? If you're a great leader, you're a servant leader. You're thinking about your teammates. You're thinking about other people. And obviously she was thinking about other people that day when she did that. And, it's really unprecedented for an athlete, a student athlete to do something like that. First of all, it's a lot of kids don't even think that way. Two, obviously and there's an expense involved. And just really, again, so proud of her, want to commend her. And again, what a great, what a great thing for her to do. We have so many people, y'all, in this community that they didn't have a meal for sometimes 2-3 days. Y'all seen the shelves that are empty in the HEBs all over the place. My wife was in 7 stores this morning and, really nobody had anything. So, again, really proud of her, really proud of Charlie and just her thinking of others. That's what a tremendous thing for her to do.
Back over to Jonathan for the last one.
Coach, since it is back to business tomorrow, what is the area that you're most interested to see with your team and in terms of improvement?
Well, we've got to knock down shots, obviously. We got a bunch of them last Sunday and just couldn't make one. And we've got to make shots. We certainly can't have another game where Charlie gets 3 shots off. She's got to work harder. I've got to work harder getting her to, in some space where she can get some touches and some looks. So, we obviously can't let that happen. So, I don't think that'll be an issue for the rest of the year. I think it's a learning tool for everybody. And again, proud of all these kids, Charlie included, coming out. They've worked hard for a couple of days and we've just got to execute. We don't need to be turning the ball over, throwing it to the other team. They're going to be in a zone probably for the most part. So we've just got to execute, get our looks. We've got to get on the boards a little bit, and then we've got to play defense. We've got to force some turnovers. We've got to create our environment that we want to play in like we did the first time we played them.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Praise the Lord and hook 'em.